Sounds good. Awesome. So, hello everyone. Student Assembly, APHA. We are here, the mentoring committee, wanting to provide more content. So I just want to introduce myself first. My name is Morte. I am a third-year DRPH student at Georgia Southern University, and I'm one of the co-chairs for the mentoring committee.
Hi everyone, my name is Makayla Carrington, APHA mentoring co-chair as well. I attend the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. I am going into my second year as an MPH student.
Awesome. So we are here with this amazing opportunity to talk with Dr. Sue Griffin, founder of SueMentors. And, as part of this, opportunity to talk about what she's been doing for the past decade in terms of mentoring and, providing, this platform and opportunities for students to hear about, how we can continue on with mentoring. So we'll just jump right into it. Dr. Sue, tell us a little bit about yourself and what inspired you to start SueMentors, and what tactics have you found most useful for helping students?
Well, I think there's a lot out there on LinkedIn and other places. People can read the boring details of the career path that we're all on, and that I will just say right now, everybody has a different one. So there is no straight line, and mine wasn't. I came from ICU nursing, straight eventually into public health. What got me into SueMentors was something that I realized I'd been doing quite a bit. And I, just preparing for this interview, I thought, oh, I should pull out the award that at the time it was called the APHA's National Student Mentoring Program. It was the first award given in 2009. I signed up for the program because I was always sought after by people wanting information. I found something from 1990 when I was going through files a couple years ago. The second half of a two-part brown bag lunch I gave at Tulane when I was doing my doctorate in public health that focused on how do you negotiate short-term consultancies. And this leads to what inspired me to start it. Was there was a lot of stuff that was never written down that people just knew. Big thing, the AID 260 rule. It was a way to calculate your salary, what you're worth. And so I started putting all those tips together for people. And with the mentoring program, and last year in 2019, I realized I had done a decade thanks to the APHA's first formal program, but had been doing it for years. The two things, I guess, is one, there's unwritten wisdom from a lot of people that we don't capture in any way. It doesn't necessarily come through in what you do with your job and work. And number two, I want to pay it back and move forward in a way that helps the next generation to move forward. I'm clearly at the downhill side of my bell curve of my life. I had a very busy career and am retired, but full-time, my husband thinks more than full-time mentoring still. So yeah, so that's it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. I heard you speak a little bit more about wisdom. So if you had to share 3 words of wisdom for students seeking a mentor, but they didn't really know where to start, what would those words of wisdom be?
Well, I read the question, answered it. Makayla, I have all this stuff written down so I could decide how I was going to make sure I answered it. But then I went back, as I often do, and reread the question. So I have the short version and the long version. My 3 words are consistency, evidence, and optimism. And what I would say when people are seeking a mentor is find someone who has varied experiences, not just because they have a great job. You know, the people who have great jobs don't necessarily make the best mentors, but they've demonstrated some kind of mentoring engagement, you know, in person. Maybe it's someone at your work you ran into in the hallway and they always have great things to say. or online, giving value. And I often say give value to get value. And that's what I look for when people reach out to me. What are they looking for, and what was it that they thought I could bring them?
Thank you.
Awesome. So those are definitely amazing words of wisdom, and certainly, based on your many experiences. Reflecting back on your personal experience, do you wish you would have done anything differently during your student experience?
Well, I always think I wouldn't have done something differently, but I would have wished for what people have now, and that is an acceptance of mentors, of the wide variety of mentors that are available to people. And that is an opportunity that now I'm going to jump into, and I'm not a plant for the Student Association APHA SA mentoring program, but you really have so many opportunities as students, as professionals right now to get mentoring. Take it, use it, because those of us who came up a long time ago figured out our pathways, found some mentors, but as I said at the beginning, I think that's why I got into it, because there wasn't a way to connect with people that could help you. So yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I definitely see how that has changed now. We have a whole student assembly of students where they can gather and mentor and network with other professionals. And we have the annual meeting where there's literally like a platform for you to just network and really just gain that experience. So I can only imagine how it's changed since you've been a student. I also just want to ask, what have you seen to be the most challenging aspects of mentoring, and in your business, how has that played out?
Well, I think the challenges for me are two sides of the same challenge. And it's the big one that I'm always talking about, and that is helping people take control of their own professional development. And this went way beyond mentoring. I had this even when I supervised people. So it starts with when I'm working with mentees, you all need to decide what advice you're going to take from me and others, and why. I tell you, I give you my experiences, I tell you what other mentees I work with have found or said that works, but you need to figure out, just like you figure out in a research question, what's the critical information I need in this situation? And the second side of that is, which people fall down on, and I know we all get busy, but keep yourself, and obviously it's your brand now online, updated and visible, not just when you're job hunting. I can't tell you, well, I can tell you, one of my best friends in the DRPH program, in my DRPH program, she did a PhD in EPI at Tulane, contacted me a year and a half ago to make a big job change. It took her days and weeks to reconstruct 12 to 15 years of history she hadn't written down. Her CV wasn't up to date. And so own your brand, take control of it. And I will say parenthetically, I see so much more being done by you all as students, both through APHA, but also the different schools that I mentor for and the things I see online. Undergraduates even are making LinkedIn profiles, which is great, and really understanding the need for visibility.
Awesome. Thank you for that. I really, take that wholeheartedly, hearing, like really taking the reins on that. So it's really great. So kind of, building off of that, what lessons have you learned both as a mentee and a mentor?
So as a mentor, I feel job one, my major job is to help a mentee identify what the real issue is. When someone says, I need a job, yes, they need a job. But what is the issue around the tools, especially students? I work with career services at two different schools of public health, Emory, Rollins, and Tulane. And they have great career services programs, so I don't need to repeat that. But it's not that they need to look for a job. They're doing great searching. What they're not doing, I find, is telling their story in an effective way. And parenthetically, if I can just say, we public health people are great at writing. That's our problem, and starts with me. We write too much and we say too much. So it's learning how to tell your story in an effective way. And you remember that perhaps I said earlier, one of my words is evidence. I really focus on using evidence and using results. And that should resonate with all of us in public health. As a mentee, I found that the best mentors gave me practical steps for moving forward. The old version of mentoring used to be a 2-year contract with the sage on the stage, the big mentor that could tell you where to go and you had big goals. Neil's shaking his head, so I'm sure Makayla is too. That was a long, long time ago. But what I do with my mentees is the same thing. I understand and recognize that we are in a very fast-paced environment. I try to make everything short, practical, focused steps that get you from one step to another to meet a career goal. But even in one session, get you moved along to a next step.
Yeah, that's very good to hear. I was definitely shaking my head when you were saying that. And then to wrap this all up, I guess, so after a decade of formal SueMentors, I know you're doing that right now. What are some things you are looking forward to in the next decade? What's next for you? You've had your career. You said that you've retired. You've been with SueMentors for years. What's next for you?
Well, I definitely, in the old days of 5-year plans, could never make one. I had a very interesting life moving around the world at one point with my ex-husband, and we moved when people moved us. So I never knew where I was going to be. I don't know what the next decade's going to bring, but I'll tell you what I've got for big goals, sort of short-term and medium-term, that are in process. I finally updated my 2016 first cut at materials for mentor-mentee pairs to work with, and have turned them into more of a self-study guide, as well as for programs and mentors to use, mentees to use. I'm looking right now at where I'm going to put them on a website so they become available and I don't just have a whole list of Dropbox links, which is how I do things. I'm all about free things. That's why I joined LinkedIn when it opened in 2003 or 4. So that's a summer goal for me. I'm really focused this year, as I did last year and the year before, on trying different one-to-many mentoring approaches, because the people that find me are people that are frankly privileged in many ways. They've got internet access, they're on LinkedIn. I have people through mentoring programs. I have people reach out to me through Delta Omega, but I want to try to find a way to reach people that have that don't necessarily have a plethora of good professionals around them to help them get ahead. I started doing that with the webinars in 2018 and 2019, but it's still not reaching people in a way that meets them where they are. I'm also aware that people, many of us right now, work on a real-time basis, like I'm ready for it right now. And so I want to find ways to perhaps have a Zoom call, or before Zoom, I was exploring different video call options to try to make myself available once a week to give mentoring advice in real time. So that, along with a couple more webinars that I need to do. I'll continue to maintain my practice, which is a mix of, I'm now in 5 formal programs and the individual clients I have. And in the next, hopefully by the end of this year, I'm going to be co-writing with the Tulane Career Services folks that I started the Tulane program for the graduate students, the program 5 years ago. We're going to be writing an article on that experience. So other than that, get back to the travel that my husband and I were doing. We spend time with our grandchildren who were all close by, and our children, which is great. And I have a lot of friends in the area. So, it's funny, I don't envision my life as different, but as long as I'm able to talk, and I'm all about keeping up on technology. I definitely was an early adopter in the early 80s being overseas, different kinds of emails that you could only hope you never have to use. But I hope that I will stay current and relevant, and the next decade will find me maybe doing another interview with both of you in your careers about what it was like to lead the Student Assembly Mentoring Committee.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, all of that. To kind of put an additional bow on it, I guess, kind of if there's a plug that you have in terms of how to reach you, how to, reach your content, your webinars and everything like that, the kind of floor is yours for that.
Thanks. That's great. Thank you. All right. So I have a document called my SueMentors resources document. And one of the things I tell people is connect with me on LinkedIn. I accept almost everybody, unless it's clear that, this is going to be an invitation that's someone just wants to, I'm getting a lot of foreign exchange Bitcoin people connecting lately. I'm not sure why. So connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm easy to find. Sue Griffin, SueMentors finds me. And I will give you the link to my resources. What I also have, I've moved, I co-sponsored the webinars with Tulane Career Services for alumni. And that gave people access to all of Tulane's stuff. They have a lot of webinars beyond what I did. But I think a lot of people don't like it because you have to sign in. It's in one of the GoToMeeting, GoToWebinar programs, and you have to sign in to use that channel. So I've actually put all of my, all of the webinars are also on YouTube. So I do have a YouTube channel, SueMentors. It's easy to find, you can subscribe to. And my materials will be out soon. So connect with me on LinkedIn. I will send you a link to a sign up place, and I can then email you my mentoring resources, and we'll go from there. So thanks for letting me plug it. Obviously my business is just forming in terms of making everything available online, but I appreciate the push, Neil.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you very much. So APHA Student Assembly, be on the lookout for that. Connect with Dr. Sue. She's an awesome resource. And, we thank you, and hopefully we'll be on the lookout for more mentoring content on our Twitter page and everything like that on all social media platforms. So, thank you, and hopefully we'll talk to all of you soon.
Bye. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.